a lot of people are like, well, I just need feedback, but then it just turns into a pain point and it's just like a friction, or like it just feels like people are just annoying you. And what can make it significantly easier is letting the team in on how you make decisions for things.
Welcome back. Best hour of their day. We are here at CrossFit ELM Electric Light Ministries.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Close.
Very close.
LMNT.
LMNT is Katie would say. What does the ELM stand for?
Excellent Life Ministries.
Excellent Life Ministries. We've got Marca Garcia. We've got Ryan Gosling. We are here.
That's right. The dude from The Notebook.
Yeah.
The dude from The Notebook. He does look like Ryan Gosling, right? When you first started dating your now husband,
he
Brandon
did not look
Garcia,
like Ryan Gosling then.
No, he's like both Fern and I. He's gotten better looking with age.
It's very true.
But you do. I remember the first time we spoke. I was like, that guy looks like Ryan Gosling, and I'm strangely attracted to him.
Well,
I'm glad I'm standing in between you two.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Need that space.
But we've got some great stuff to talk with these guys about. Affiliate U members.
For sure, yeah.
So we can talk all about that journey there, and also the beginnings of ELM in your garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. Like, you guys are kind of, again, like, I think that a lot about your story is old school. Like, you guys are in this space. This feels like a kind of an old school gym. Not in a bad way, but just like the layout and everything, I think is cool. But then you legitimately started in your garage, which is used to be how people would start CrossFit gyms, and that's not so much the case anymore.
No.
You know, give us the short version, the long version, the bumper sticker
I'll
version.
I'll give you the kind of the quick.
Feel free to take charge at any point.
Yes,
you want.
please do.
Like
you did
everywhere
in class.
else.
Like you did in class.
Okay.
We'll talk a little bit about that because that was a fantastic class.
Yeah, she was busting some balls, and it was fantastic
wonderful.
coaching.
Yeah, and I'm not just saying because I was the fittest in that class.
It's true.
You know what we're talking about. You saw.
No, so I got a degree in exercise science, and then I went to like standard gym management. I was bred in the ACSM manual, and then I came across CrossFit.com in 2008, and then like any other exercise scientist, made fun of it. I was like, these people are going to hurt themselves. This is stupid. And then
How'd you stumble upon it?
just researching different fitness stuff. I had some time to kill, sitting in a gym doing nothing, and just Google searches of different stuff.
So your first exposure was online, or did you actually like see it?
It was just
person?
.com.
Got it.
I just went to .com and
I
started
could see
reading
how
some
that
of that
would
stuff.
not be
Well, you
received
see
well.
like Greg Amundsen doing G.I. Jane or one of those workouts.
I think one of the first workouts I came across was it was 150 burpee pull-ups, and I was like, this is stupid. What are they doing?
For the record, it's still stupid.
It is. Yes, I agree. We actually just did it not too long ago. So
that itself is one of the worst.
It was brutal.
It's rough.
It was brutal. And so, but as the years pass, I'm watching really the CrossFit Games athletes, because that's really all you could watch at the time, and watching how quickly they were improving. So the exercise scientist in me was like, okay, there's something to this. Let's see what's going on. And at a group of personal training clients, I was like, hey, can I divide you guys into data points, and you guys do regular and you guys do CrossFit?
You went that far?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to do G.I. Jane.
Yeah.
You're going to do
Yeah.
chest day.
Yes.
Let's see what happens.
And we were 3 days into it, and the whole group was like, no, we're all doing CrossFit now.
They liked it that quickly.
Oh, dude, it was fast.
It wasn't the results then. What was it?
It was, I think they just, the challenge of the workouts, like the kind of people that are going to hire a personal trainer for the most part are people who do enjoy a challenge. And so like when the group that wasn't doing CrossFit saw the workouts that the CrossFit group was doing, they were like, we want to do that. That looks way more fun.
They're like, you sold us the crap version?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Are we paying the same? But it's funny because that was almost the same exact way I got involved. I found CrossFit and I started implementing it with the right class. I didn't have like as much of a scientific mind as you. I was just like, you can do CrossFit, you can't.
Yeah.
So I'll do it with you.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting that where your mind went was you're like, I'm watching this thing, this looks kind of dumb, but you were objective enough to not be dogmatic about the literature that you had been studying and working through, and you're just like, oh, results.
What is that?
That seems interesting. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because that was not the predominant thought in that space at the time.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. In fact, a lot of my at the time, like my trainer friends, they were like, "What are you doing? You're gonna hurt people." I'm like, "I don't think so, guys. I really don't."
Where was this going down?
So it was a local like key card access group. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. They're called Snap Fitness.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I was the general manager
We'll
for
edit
4
that
of
out
them.
after.
Yeah, there you go.
That's still a franchise, is it not?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay,
Yeah. So I was the general manager for 4 of them for a franchisee and running their gyms and doing some personal training. And then the woman that owned the gyms, as we got more and more people doing CrossFit next to the people on the ellipticals got scared and complained. And so she said, "Hey, you can't do this here anymore." And I said, "Okay, that's fine." And we moved it to a local park. And then the park kicked us out because it was owned by an HOA. And so we landed in my garage.
And did you quit Snap?
About 6 months after that, yeah. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I might as well just start an affiliate. And so we started our affiliate in our garage. And
So that was it. That was your job.
yeah.
No.
Well, and I was a youth pastor at the time as well. So I was doing gym management, and I was a youth pastor. And then when I got basically kicked out of that gym, we started in my garage. I was still doing youth ministry and then just trying to, juggle classes around what I was doing for the church in my garage. So
That's like an old school start, though, right, Fern? Like
That's what I'm saying.
a Glassman start right there. Get kicked out of gyms.
yeah.
I'll take it elsewhere where
Yeah.
I don't have to be policed by someone.
So how many, when you moved to the garage, how many people are you dealing with at this point?
8.
No, we only had like 3 when you first started. I thought.
Yeah, so it was Abby and Newman
Oh, yeah.
and
Alberto.
It's so cool that you can like think back and remember their name. Are they still coming in here?
1.
Newman still. Newman was a
Newman.
personal trainer. He was a personal training client who has never left. He's still with me
That's
He
today.
just
great.
follows Brandon.
It's awesome.
That's great.
And is this the same house you guys currently live in?
Yeah.
No, we sold that house 7 years ago.
But and in the meantime, you came in here.
Yeah.
So
So how long you're in the garage?
We were in the garage 2.5 years.
Oh, you were there for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
400 square feet, you said, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
So what
We
was
had
the,
heaters that we would turn on at night to help keep the bars warm so that if they were going to use bars the next day, they had.
you left them on all night?
Yeah.
It's good customer service right there.
Because
Yeah, it
if
is.
it was 20 degrees outside, it was 10 degrees in the garage.
Marcus standing there with a hairdryer all night.
Listen, we had a 6 a.m. class. I would get up at 4 a.m. and make sure that they were pointed at the bars or the kettlebells,
Yeah.
so that people's hands wouldn't freeze to the stuff.
You were getting up at 4 a.m. to coach a 6 a.m. in your garage.
Yeah.
That's much earlier than Jay would have gotten up.
I would have been rolling up 5:55. That alarm would have went off.
Everybody's just standing outside the
"Start
garage
without
door.
me."
Yeah.
So, 400 square feet. How many people could you have in a class there?
We could squeeze 6 people in there if we did it right.
Even with the door closed?
With the door closed, it was a little tougher. We had a big driveway, so we could open the door and use the driveway. And most of the time, it was dry enough that you could get away with that. In Colorado, we don't get a ton of precipitation. Sometimes it just gets really cold. But, with the door closed, if it was 6, there were no barbells.
So you said around 2008 you went to the garage, or 9
No,
maybe?
so I found CrossFit in 2008, and I made fun of it until 2010.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a good effort.
Yeah. And then I got certified in 2011, got my
Well,
affiliate in
I don't
2012.
think
We'll
you
go
got
back on
certified.
that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, stand by.
We'll come back, Brandon. You talked about becoming a level 4. You took your certificate course.
Yeah,
You're not certified.
that's right. Yeah, I
Well,
took
he
my
is.
certificate.
He is.
Oh, now he's got his- now he is.
I have my
technically
L3 now,
level
yeah.
He does
three.
have his level there. So I think, so when did you take that level 1?
November 2011.
2011. And then when did you go to the garage?
Well, we were already kind of in the garage at that point. We just
So you were
didn't,
breaking all the rules.
Yes.
and then we got our affiliate officially in July of 2012.
What I'm getting at is in 3 years you were there.
Essentially, yeah.
So people had the opportunity 2012 to go to an affiliate that wasn't in someone's garage.
Correct.
But they were coming to you. This 400 square foot place.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus blow drying the barbells to keep them warm. What do you think it was? Why would I, you know what I mean? Like, why would I go to your garage when there's a box here, a box there?
2 things. One, and Marcus said it before we got started. I get really passionate about stuff. And
First you make fun of it.
first I make fun of it, but dude, if I'm in, like, it's that's the ADHD in me. I'm all in. I'm rabid about it. And 2, like, well, I guess alongside the passion is, like, I have this personality where when I meet random people, they will tell me their life story. Just
I
immediately.
think a lot of CrossFit coaches would say that, right?
That's why the sales thing gets a little weird sometimes. You're like, hey, how are you? And they're like, I need to talk to you about depression.
Whoa.
Really fast.
Holy smokes.
But I think a lot of CrossFit coaches, because it's evident when someone cares, and a lot of this day and age, no one's asking you, how are you, and truly meaning it.
Right.
So when you do that, like they unload
They're
on
like,
you.
wait a minute.
We got a member in Dick's Sporting Goods. Like, we went to go get some more med balls, and like this guy was standing there and he just looked really perplexed, and Brandon was like, hey, why don't you just come try it out in my garage?
The funny part about that story
Is he still?
he's not. He moved to Texas.
No, they moved to Texas.
But he went home that day and told his wife, hey, tomorrow we're going to go try this CrossFit class at this guy's garage, but I can't be there till this time, so you need to go to this one first. And she's like, I'm not going to some random dude's garage by myself. What are you doing?
Did she go
up?
She showed up with him. She waited and came with him.
That would have been way better. She just showed up with like a mace in her hand.
And as you're saying this,
I'm here for the CrossFit. What are you doing?
And you are involved with the church and you're a youth pastor. I think there's probably quite a bit of overlap there.
Oh yeah, ton of overlap. But I think the other reason why that small group of people ended up landing at my gym at the time was, we were in my garage. We charged half of what everybody was charging.
What was your opening rate in the garage?
Opening rate was $50 a month.
2012.
Yep. And then we had upped it to 70
for everyone, or just
for everybody.
For everybody.
$20 increase. That's a 50% increase.
And it was because, and it was really just, we told our member, like the small group of people that we had at the time, was like 20, 25 people. We were like, hey, we're trying to save up a little bit of money so we can move out of the garage. We need to up your membership $20. Which
they were all like, sure.
They were like, yeah, whatever.
They were paying that for one-on-one sessions.
Yeah.
And plus, at some point, it's supply and demand.
Right.
Right. Like, we only have this much square footage. How many classes were you offering a day?
At that point, I think it was only
3 or 4.
And were you coaching already?
No.
No, she didn't start coaching until we moved in here.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
She's being a mom.
Yeah.
You got
brand new babies
kids.
and
Yeah, because this was probably like you had 3.
So we
I had
had
two little ones.
2 under 2 at that point. Yeah. In fact, we opened when our middle, so our second, when 2 months after she was born is when we
opened the garage.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, we've got to support this other human. Let's give everything up.
Let's give it a shot. Why not?
Well, it's working out.
Yeah.
So do you remember, how long have you been in this space?
So we went from the garage to a space just a couple units over for a year. We were in that space for a year.
Okay.
But it was 2.5 times this size.
It was too big for our britches.
Too big. It was too big.
So you downsized.
So we downsized into this after a year. So we moved in here.
I don't think you hear that enough, actually.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. And it was like at the time, I got to say, it felt like a failure. It really felt like a failure. Like I was going backwards. Like I can't believe I screwed this up, because all the other affiliate owners I talked to, they're like, yeah, man, we went from 5 members to 100 members in like 5 months. And we were at 30.
What were some of the indications to you that we need to go smaller?
We ran out of money.
That's a good indication.
Strong indicator.
Flat out.
Yeah.
We just ran out of money. We weren't going to be able to pay rent the next month. And this space had happened to open up.
Same landlord.
Same
so
landlord.
He was able to.
So I was like, hey, can we just shift over? And she was like, yeah, no problem.
Let me ask you something. So you're going through that. If we look back, hindsight's 20/20. Do you think there was something going on that you weren't aware of, or if you look back, you're like, we definitely were not doing something in order to get
100%.
to? Okay,
100%.
so what was it?
It was trying to work in ministry and run a business at the same time was stupid. When you run,
not necessarily ministry, just doing 2 things at once.
Right. Well, yeah, and it's
not
it's,
specifically.
But ministry is a little different. Like we worked part-time, but we worked part-time at 60 hours.
Yeah, it sounds like most CrossFit gyms.
Yeah.
So you have
you
2
were
part-time jobs
yeah.
that total 179 hours.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was, and when I did finally step away from ministry and do this full time, which was at the end of 2017, I looked at one of my coaches at the time and I said, I don't know how I did all of this all at the same time, because I was just overwhelmed with everything I needed to do for the
and
gym.
You had at least 2 kids.
We had 3 at
all
that
3 at that
time.
point.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he was like, well, you didn't do it well. And I was
Yeah.
like, whoa. I mean,
It's like,
dude,
It's
thank
not
you.
wrong, but I
No.
mean, that is the challenge, or that's the hurdle that a lot of people really struggle with.
Yeah.
And obviously there's the practical portions of all of this is like, I need to pay a mortgage. I got to do these certain things.
Right.
So, and you have to stretch yourself really thin, but at some point you have to acknowledge I'm just not doing either of these things and poorly sounds rough, right? And it might be,
but it's the
like,
truth though, I think.
But if you were to restate it, you could say like, not as well as I could be just doing one of them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's
like,
that.
I don't even know if it's poor. It's just like, if I was just to do things with half of my capacity, I would get half of the output. And it was like, well, if I just refocus them to one thing, just logically speaking, it would be reasonable to assume that I would get a significantly higher output out of this singular thing.
100%.
Do you remember what that was like when you made the leap?
At the time, it was a lot of relief.
Really?
Yeah.
I would think it'd be stressful.
I left a stressful situation.
Got it.
And so when I stepped away from that and I could purely focus on this, it was like, oh wow, I don't have to divide my time anymore. Okay, cool. A couple months into it, it became like, oh no, I really have to get this going. Like, I have to
chop.
I've got to get going now. But in that moment, in those first couple of weeks, I was like, oh, I only have to do one thing now. And so it made it easier to focus for sure.
Did you feel the same way? Like, did you notice that as well? Like, as the spouse?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, as an outsider, not necessarily an outsider, but you know what I mean?
Like he said, he came from a really stressful situation too. So just like being away from that and only being able to, and having the ability to just focus here and on us, like, it was a huge difference.
And I think the cool thing is all these years later, you're able to bring back in your passion with ELM.
Yeah.
Because you're still now involved again in the church.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, you're ELM.
Yeah.
Everlasting Ministries, was it? Ever Loving?
Excellent Life, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
And you know, we were involved with Faith RX for a little bit. And then, you know, now we're at a place now where I have the opportunity. My oldest is now officially in youth group because he's a middle schooler, which is weird. But I get to go volunteer for that. And I don't, like, there's zero stress for that because I'm just volunteering.
Yeah, because you want to be there.
Because I want to be there.
I have to be here and do this thing.
Kind of like you're saying, Fern, rather than doing two things poorly, focus on the one thing, and then it will open up that opportunity to do everything again in the future.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly, like, we've had that conversation where it's like, we're finally getting to the point with the systems in the gym, with having coaches we trust, that, like, I know that I can take on coaching a sports team or volunteering at youth group because I have people that I trust with my people, right? Because that's one thing as gym owners that we all say, like, these are my people. And, like, that's why when people leave, it feels so personal, you know? And so when you, as a gym owner and somebody like me who, like, I'm a little bit of a control freak, a little bit, releasing that responsibility to somebody else and that authority to somebody else was a serious thing for me. But once it happened, I was like, wow, this is a really good thing. And so, like, now I get to do the things I want to do, and I get to enjoy them, and I'm not stressed out by them, and I can still focus on this one thing and continuing to make it better.
What was, like, so that's obviously, I don't want to say we've come full circle on that, but, like, if we go back a little bit further, so you're here full time now.
Yep.
Right?
Both of you.
Yes.
And
No. I was still working.
yeah, but
No.
I'm talking about, like, at the time when he made nutrition. So he's at the gym focusing on the one thing, which is the gym. And then I'm always curious because everybody has, like, a little bit of a different path here, but, like, things start to improve because you're here, but then you start to uncover other problems just because you're generally more aware now because you're here living the thing all hours of the day.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
So that realization actually happened prior to me stepping away from the church. And it's one of the things that ended up making me step away from that other thing, right? And I don't mean to pick on the church. It's just that other thing.
Yeah.
That was the other thing at the time, right? And so a few months before that, we were at a point where it was like, look, we either have to do something really drastic or we're going to close our doors. And so I ended up doing a phone call with another coaching group, and he was like, look, you need to raise your rates. Weird how that comes up all the time, right? And I was like, okay, I don't know how to do that. And he said, here's the general idea of how you do this, but I would not do this alone, do this with a coach. And I was like, I got it, no big deal. And so we sent out a letter and we said, hey, we're going to discontinue all the discounts because we have overhead now. We need to be able to pay our bills. And so these are our rates going forward starting on this date. And if you need, if you feel like that's going to be too much, then come in and have a conversation. And we sent that out. It hit inboxes on Friday. And I came in Saturday morning and literally got cussed out by 5 members.
Really?
Yeah. It was a horrible experience. It blew up in my face. At the time, we had 30 members and 22 of them left.
This is 2012-ish?
This was 2017.
Oh, so this is when you were in this.
We just moved into this space.
So you had already downsized.
Yeah.
So if you're okay with it, did you identify what you kind of did wrong?
Yeah.
Or, I don't want to say did wrong, but where you misstepped in that whole process.
Yeah, and so what it was is I didn't run my business like a business. It was these people were my friends because they were in my garage. Like, we babysat each other's kids. Like, we hung out. And all of those things are good things, and those relationships were good things, right? But now I have to run a business because I'm responsible for a mortgage and different things like that. And so now I have to run my business like a business. And then I stepped into my business. I said, hey, it's a business now, not a hobby. This isn't a club. This isn't a social club. Here's what's going on. And that group of people, they were shocked by it, because I probably could have handled that better. Not probably. I could have handled that better. But at the time, I was, you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And so I just did it. And it, I lobbed the grenade into our business because it blew everything up. Mm-hmm. But it needed to happen because what existed in that moment was a culture of people who wanted more than just CrossFit. And so we were adding all kinds of programming and all kinds of this and all kinds of that. We were doing everything beyond CrossFit and providing it for free and doing all this stuff. And it was killing us. And then when we said, hey, no, you guys really have to pay for this so we can keep the doors open and pay, buy groceries and things like that, it blew up. And so that was that moment was that realization of you have to draw that line as a business owner. Like, you can be friendly with your members, but you can't really be friends with them. And
I would
if you
push back on that a little bit.
If you are, you have to be careful.
I think you just need to manage the expectation. I think because I do have members that have been members for that I just married one of them, meaning I was the officiant at their wedding.
Oh, yeah. I thought you married somebody else.
My wife left and I was like, yes,
let's get into this.
Hey, it's 2022.
You guys out for talk about it person.
So, and I think what you have to do is I think you can maintain the friendships, and because I think it's the same thing with staff. It's just you can maintain that friendship, but you do have to draw the clear lines, and you may even have to communicate why you're doing it. Be like, hey, listen, I want to see you guys for Christmas. I want to hang out for beers on the weekend, but I do professionally need to make a shift here because I have other things that I'm responsible for here. But I agree. It's definitely not easy.
No,
it gets easier the longer you do it because you've built in a lot of things that would, I would say create space between you and the client who might be a friend, meaning whether it's multiple employees or this business entity. And it's a different expectation as you grow. But at first, when you make that shift, there's just a lot of people that are not willing to grow with you. We experience that when we grow. When we start to professionalize things a little bit more and put systems in place and quite frankly, just try to be better at what we were doing. Right. There were people that were not willing to go with us down that path, and I have no beef with that. It's almost like they were just never going to see me as a business owner. They were just going to see me as a guy who was doing a thing on the side, and they just weren't able to ever see me as anything else, and that's fine.
Yeah. You sounded like you were going to say something.
I think you're just reiterating kind of what Brandon was saying because you started so small, and also 30 people or less feels more like your friends working out. Once you get to 50, 100, it's they recognize there's other people here. Because I agree with Fern. We get into this because we love the people. We want to be friends with them. But then something else you said too. You tried, correct me if I'm wrong, increase the rates prior to the systems and operations.
Yes.
Because that's what you said.
Yeah. To some extent, yes.
Because it didn't feel like a business, but they're like, wait, you're raising rates? This isn't a real thing.
Yeah.
Versus you saying, we've done all this back end work. Now we've earned the right to raise the
A lot of
rates.
things that were said to us too were, well, we got you here, so why should we have to? So.
Which is a bad attitude.
Yeah.
For the record.
So I mean, like honestly, I think it was a great, a great thing, right? Like.
But it was that situation and all of that happening. That was that was a moment of realization that, and we talk about this with like open gym theory, right? Like open gym can create some problems if you don't do it well, and so, like, because it creates those cliques, right? And those groups of people had created cliques, and what we found out through that was those cliques were the kind of the barrier to entering our gym. Like if you weren't in a clique and they didn't accept you, like you didn't feel accepted in the gym. And that was my bad because I allowed that to happen.
I was going to say, usually there's a series of like micro fractures in the business that you're not even aware of, just like how you respond to an incident or like how you may or may not run your classes. And all of these things stack up to where people don't recognize it as a functioning business or organism that needs revenue, that has responsibilities and liabilities and all these other things. And then when you try to make that shift, it just, again, people are just like, oh no, I'm not really down with that. No. And again, I don't know if that's a great response, but like we got you here and I'm like, whoa, it was an exchange of services. but again, I think that goes back to like, just sometimes it's okay as the business owner recognize, like, oh, you're not going to be with us for this next evolution, and that's fine. No harm, no foul. But it's time for me to move on. I can't stay here because you don't like where we're going.
Yeah, to be fair, like there were some people who took that line. They were like, dude, I love what you're doing. I just can't be with you for this part of it. They were very aware of that, and we had good conversations. But there was that handful of people that, like, I literally walked in. The 8 a.m. class was going. I came in to coach the 9 a.m. class, and a few members stopped in the middle of class, in the middle of their workout, and came over and like had their words for me and left.
Dang,
just bounced. And I was like, okay, well, made that easy. Cool.
That escalated quickly.
I don't think Bob's coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
So Bob, are you coming back tomorrow?
But it was one of those things that like it made me realize a couple of things about what we wanted out of this gym. Number one was I wanted a culture in this gym where the people that didn't feel like they belonged in a gym needed to feel like they belonged in mine. And up till that point, it wasn't happening because I was allowing a small group of people to be a barrier to that. And so as soon as that small group of people kind of removed themselves, it opened the door for those people that needed to be there.
This can't be understated, or is it overstated?
Over.
You sure?
Yeah.
It can't be overstated because we talk to our clients all the time. Like, I've got this member or this group, and, they're negative and they bother me. I'm like, do you not think they're bothering everybody if they're bothering you? And I tell them, you're either going to lose one of two members, the problem member or your good members that are leaving because of these people.
Yep.
So you recognize, like, we got to get rid of some of these bad apples. And then ultimately it's like pruning.
Yeah.
The flowers grew, more bountiful.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Do you have word of the day toilet paper at home?
No, but I would know a lot of words if I had the word of the day toilet paper.
And it's like, and it's happened since that's happened. Like we've gotten really good at recognizing like, hey, this person's not going to fit well. And so it's immediately having that conversation like, hey, you know what? I think what you're looking for is a better fit for this, or this gym. And like, if you want me to, I will call and personally refer you over to them because their culture is going to fit you better than ours.
Yeah, and for the record, we're outside of Denver.
Yeah, there's a few.
I could throw a rock and hit a CrossFit gym. Yeah.
There's quite a few affiliates, within a 5-10 mile radius of you.
Well, just within 2 miles, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 other actual affiliates and 3 other former affiliates.
Right, so there were at 1.7 affiliates.
That's called IP theft, everybody, just so they're all on this.
We will put them in there. So now flash forward to today.
Yeah.
Did any of those members come back?
No.
So do you know if they've found other CrossFits, or was this just a season for them?
Yeah, no.
What are you laughing at, Mark?
Go ahead.
That group that
the 22 people.
The big group.
Let's name them.
Yeah. Name all 22 of those guys.
There was like a group of 8 or 10 of them that went to another gym that's no longer here and asked if all 10 of us come, will you give it to us for this price? And they said yes. So. we know they landed there.
Well, but again, this is always everybody's fear, and that is typically the long-term outcome, which is like, okay, that gym is going to make a poor decision, which will inevitably hurt them long-term. And you're like, and that gym's not here. I'm like, well, of course they're not here. They were doing many things incorrectly.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, like, just gave into that. Like, well, I'll just take anybody at this point. I'm like, well, A, financially, that's a bad deal. B, culturally, it's a terrible deal.
Yeah.
You know, because those people are immediately coming in and asking for something. So I wanted to kind of, with regard to like, I wanted to bring this up specifically because like you were super skeptical of working with us.
100%.
And I'm not like even ashamed.
That's because
to say
I
that.
had the first call with them.
That's it.
Yes. No.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah,
So
we'll
finish
just
that.
I would love for you to talk about that. Like
For
why
sure.
and then what were you thinking about when you were looking to work with somebody?
Yeah.
And especially after the experience you had, because you said you had, I don't know if you were
So
working with
that's-
another coach.
Hey guys, Fern here. Real quick, I just want to share a quick success story from one of the hundreds of gyms that we've been able to help inside of Affiliate U. And our mission and best hour of their day is to ultimately improve and grow the greater CrossFit community by building better boxes and creating better businesses with better coaching staff so we can bring CrossFit to the masses. Check it out. And if you think we can help you, don't hesitate to reach out.
As a result of Affiliate University, I will say my biggest takeaway is I am having so much fun as an affiliate owner. As a longtime affiliate owner, you always wonder, like, you know, have I reached my peak? Do I have it still in me to keep on going? And I tell you, I have discovered this new just me within Powell Harbor, and being an affiliate owner, it's thrilling to do what I do and exciting to do what I do. The connection between my coaching staff is amazing. What we do as a team is so much fun. We're giving the best experience to our members to a point where we are grossing the most we've ever done in the history of the affiliate. And I can say, because of Affiliate University, we've been given the tools to operate correctly, smoothly, learning systems and creating better experiences for our members to have that make them long-term members. And it's just been a blast doing it.
Yeah, so one of the things so when I lobbed the grenade into our business, what I learned shortly after that is like, hey, I need a business coach because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So we ended up hiring another coaching company because you guys weren't in yet.
You can, I mean, we're not opposed to naming some of them.
So we jumped on with Two Brain.
Lesser, the lesser of the
Yes, we jumped on with Two Brain, and we learned a lot from those guys. We really did. But we personally had several hiccups with our assigned coach, to the point that we actually, they reassigned us a coach 3 different times and recognized like, hey, this is not your fault, it's their fault. And so there was just a lot of things that didn't jive.
It's funny you say that because I remember one of the interactions with Brandon. They signed up and we had a trip somewhere. I don't remember where we went shortly after they signed up. And then we had to reschedule something and Brandon got mad.
Dude, oh my God, so many times I got
so mad.
left.
I remember that. I was like, wow, like he's like,
I know
you handled it very well, but
I know exactly what happened, right? So this was around like June 10th or 12th. Actually,
Yes,
I remember
it was a couple weeks in.
I remember the date actually specifically.
Why do you remember that?
And I'll tell you why. Because the reason I had to schedule.
You had a fundraiser. You had a fundraiser.
No, it wasn't. Sorry, it was around May, and I was meeting with Blake Marston's mom.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, and I was like, hey, dude, I never reschedule. But I'm doing it, and I think that's where I was like very upfront with you, and I was like, I would never do this, but I have a thing that I'm like not breaking this promise to my buddy's mom, like, and you were like, totally get it, dude. And I think right up from there we were off on a good foot, but like Katie hit me up, she's like, he's pissed, and I was like, well, what's the deal? And I reached out to him immediately. I was like, hey, dude, this is not standard. We do not do this.
Right.
I apologize. We were totally in the wrong.
And for the record, have we done it much at all?
Not at all. At all.
Yeah.
As far as I.
And it was Fern, for the record, not.
No, so it was like
Jay's schedule was just completely empty.
Yeah, I was like, Katie, I'm available, but no.
And it's so like we'd worked with them in the past, and so that kind of blew up, and we stepped away from that, not leaving behind the fact that we learned a lot. So that was good. It was just bad experiences, and it left a really bad taste in my mouth having a coach. And then we connected with another coaching group. It was at the time called Affiliate Solution. I think it's Vive Group now.
Were they out of Australia?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember
Ty.
he used to have some actually really good content back in the day.
Ty is actually a really cool dude.
Redhead, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And so we just like for whatever reason, he and I could just never like connect schedule wise and make it actually work. But we learned a lot, but it just didn't fit. It didn't go right. And so, when we got to the place where I was like, this gym
when
has
is this
to
up
be
until
more.
like?
This is between 2017 and the beginning of this year.
These are all the other coaching. And by the way, I want to say, we appreciated you saying that, right? Because I'd rather hear from you, hey, I'm upset about this. You weren't unreasonable about it.
Yeah.
And we preach feedback, and that's what that was.
Yeah. And so, like, when that happened, it just triggered all of that, like, because that's tied to a lot of other things from other jobs, too. So I was like, is this happening again? Oh, my gosh.
So the reason, and I believe I told you, I was like, hey, that's important for me to know. From a coaching standpoint, it's just like no different than an athlete that walks in who has like some sort of past
injury,
trauma with regard to working out, and they're freaking out. And I'm like, I need to know those things so that like it's important that I can interact with you appropriately about like things that might be stressful to you. If I know, be like, hey, he's hesitant already, skeptical about this, like has some trauma with regard to working with other coaches. Like it's not like that we treat you differently. It's just important for me to know.
Yeah.
Which is like, hey, like I understand it, I get it. Let me make sure that you get what you need, just like we do with everybody. But those are the things that I think are important when we're talking about coaching. Is like you have to communicate those things.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm sorry, dude. Like we screwed up. I don't even remember what it was, but we screwed something up.
It was, and it really was just like a scheduling, like.
Yeah, we were scheduled for a small group, and then it got canceled, and he was like, "Oh, great, here we go again."
Right.
Yeah, and so but the fact that, like, number one, like, I got an email from you immediately, and you're like, bro, if you need to, call me.
Right.
Like, and it was just like, here's my number. Call me if you need to call me. I'll jump on a call with you for a few minutes. And I was like, no, okay. You told me what's going on. You've explained the situation. You showed up. I got an email literally immediately. So I was like, no, we're good. We're good. Mm-hmm. And since then, it's been all good stuff.
Yeah, I think in this, so the lesson here, I think, is like you can approach problems in the gym the exact same way.
100%.
If there is a problem, go find that person and be like, let's chat. And I think because a lot of issues in the gym get blown up because they just do not get addressed.
Yeah.
I'm like, just go talk to the person who's upset and find out what it is that they want.
Yeah.
And if you just did that and let it, instead of just letting it linger. Because then rumors start and the story changes and
animosity builds,
and then you start getting upset because they're upset. You're mad at them, and it's just like, listen, just go right to the root of that and just be like, let's chat.
If you come at it from that perspective of like, hey man, talk to me about what's wrong,
right?
Like, if I have the opportunity to tell you what's going on, like one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to blow it off and then be a jerk behind your back later, or I'm going to unload a little bit. And if I'm already expecting that, I'm okay with it. And then I can let you have that moment. And then now all of a sudden we can have an actual conversation about, okay, what are we going to do going forward?
Well, the flip side of that is it also like it helped us check a couple things systems wise, which is like, hey, we talked about this all the time. Like we do not cancel things short notice. Like we need to be like clear communication. And if there's any way that we can reschedule anybody, I'm like, it happens.
And ultimately, we know like the number one priority is take care of the clients. Like for example, Fern's in town today. We're filming a lot. So we tripled up on phone calls this morning to make sure everybody gets what they need. So, because too many businesses, like you see this all the time at CrossFit. Hey, we're hosting a seminar. Classes are canceled, right? And then your members become upset. So you just need to find other avenues to satisfy those needs. And I think it was twofold. It started with you giving us an email, and it wasn't like. You were clear and upset, but you weren't.
You were professional.
It was very professional. And Fern's like obnoxiously good at this, where he's like, "Tell me what's wrong," and you're like, "F you," like don't pull that, like. But he means it, right?
Don't Jedi mind trick me.
Yeah, that's what he did. But by doing that, you were like, okay, he's listening,
right? And that's to your point, in the gym, if you just allow people to know that you're listening, like. It just goes such a long way to letting them know, like, hey, I can actually trust this human, and we can get through this.
So many things can be mitigated. Like the smallest things. Like I got a phone call from Cassie the other day. It's like, hey, how would you handle this? And it was like some scheduling conflict in the gym. I was like, because a member had been like, hey, this is a problem. And I said, number one, find out if that's accurate. Right, like right now. Number 2, find out who was coaching the class. Number 3, go talk to them and figure out what the deal was. And he called me like 6 minutes. He's like, it's fine. Everything worked out. And I'm like, right. You can't just take something and just like light it on fire. Be like, A, check it for accuracy. B, go right to the source and then communicate. Be like, if we're going to do this next time, please just communicate it.
And that's where I got to give her credit, because like I am the person who's just like, when that stuff happens, I just want to go scorched earth and just let it.
Oh, that used to be me.
She'll look at me and be like, just hold on.
That used to be me, and I'm like, oh, an opportunity to fight? Sign me up. I'm like, sign me up, and I'm like, oh, I can't. I have to put that aside, and it's just like there's places to put your time and energy, and fighting over stupid shit is not one of them.
No, it's not.
Well,
really not.
Speaking of your better half,
Yes.
you were skeptical to coach.
Today, yes.
No, not just today. And by the
No.
way, I don't know
Crushed
which
it.
will come out first, but you got to watch Dropping In here at CrossFit ELM, because that was a fantastic class. But you were skeptical to coach.
Use CAP
Period.
programming, by the way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
shout out.
Yeah. Shout out.
Because, you didn't coach at all when Brandon had the garage running.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was like a crazy plan, actually.
She really legitimately thought I was
He
crazy.
came home and said, "Hey, I'm gonna move all these people to our garage,"
Honey,
and
you
I
know
was
our
like,
house
"What?"
that's ours and private?
Yeah, like I
What
have
are
a brand new
strangers?
baby and I'm nursing, and people are walking in my front door to use the restroom. Like I was
yeah, you
not
don't think
bought
about
in.
that. Like
Yeah.
people were actually coming into the house. to
Yeah, they
use
had to
it.
come in to use the restroom in the house.
Oh, that's
Was
Yeah.
it like
fantastic.
a private mudroom type bathroom, or like they had to go
No,
to
they
your
had to go
They had to
through my
go to
living room. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Dude, you just pick up some snacks in the kitchen while you're on your way.
You could have, actually.
Yeah.
Dude, that's great.
So what was the turning point where you're like, okay, I'm not only bought in, but I want to be involved and coach?
So I saw a need for like a 5 a.m. class, and we didn't or 6 a.m. class, and we didn't have
Hey, honey,
that.
can we get strangers in our house earlier in
well,
the day?
no, I didn't
It was
actually
here.
start
Oh, this
coaching
was
until we
here.
were
Okay.
here.
We were at this point, we were 4 years deep.
Yeah.
So you were realizing there's something to this.
There's
My
an-
husband's not crazy.
Yeah, and there was a need.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, he's crazy, but
But he looks like Ryan Gosling, so I'll let some things go.
we'll let it go. I just knew there was a need, and I told him, and he's like, "Great, you should go get your level 1 and do it." And I was like, "Oh." So that's what I did.
You're like, that escalated.
It did not go the way I planned it.
I was hoping we could hire someone.
So I did. I took my level 1, and as I was studying for it, something actually really clicked. My family suffers from diabetes type 2. Like, it's their own fault, but I didn't know that. Like, I was always taught it was hereditary, and like I was just destined to be in the same boat and watch. I watched my grandmother die. I'm going to watch my mom die. Everyone's going to watch me die from it. Like that's what I thought. And then I was studying for the level 1, and that's not true. And so from that moment on, I was just like, okay, this is what we got to do. More people need to know that they have control over these kind of things.
And then I did your level 2.
You did. Yeah.
That was what
A year ago.
year ago?
Last July. Yeah.
And Dre's over there.
Yeah, you
Yep.
did hers too.
That's so. What was the first time you coached? Do you remember like being nervous about it? Did you feel comfortable?
Oh no, I was not comfortable. No.
But you do have an athletic background. You were a
I
gymnast,
do.
right?
I
So
was
like,
And you were a
gymnast.
teacher.
so training,
And I'm a
yeah.
teacher,
So
yeah.
training and standing in front of a group is not foreign to you.
Right.
Right.
In fact,
Well-
our class management development has come mostly from her going, hey, you have to do that better. You can't do that like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I like
That's
kids
what she
though.
said to me during the workout today. She literally was like, "You have to do that better."
and when she said it to you, she said it in a way that it like made me like, oh, I don't want
Yeah.
her to say that
It's
to
like,
me.
hey, your position.
Actually, I
Looks
said
like trash.
I actually said gymnasts aren't like pretty and tight for no reason.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh."
She's like, you're not pretty or tight.
Yeah.
So
That's what I heard. I was like, accurate.
Yeah.
But I did my feet get closer together?
They did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't bend as much. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And then I won the workout.
It's true.
I don't know who won the workout.
I think
I
you
do.
did, yeah.
I do. I know who won. So what was it like when you first started coaching?
It was scary, but that 5 a.m. class only had like 2 people in it, so you get really.
you stuck her with the wait, you
She
said 5
wanted
p.m. or
it.
5
No,
a.m.?
5
5
a.m.
No,
a.m.
but she wanted
She
it.
wanted
okay.
that. So what time are
You're
you
like,
waking
hey,
up?
honey, you're on the
3
schedule.
o'clock?
Starts tomorrow at 5 a.m.
4.
4 o'clock?
Yeah. It was good. Like it was people that were just brand new to this, and like they understood I was learning too, and I don't know, we had a good time. It was learning process. I hate back squats though because of all that. We would have back squat days, and I've had the worst things happen to me. Like people just dump the 200-pound bar on me.
On you?
On me. Like I'll spot them.
Zerk.
And they just sit there. I had one gal do a back squat, and she didn't think she could get herself up, so she took her hands off and pushed off.
I have seen people do that one.
I've seen a guy do that with 400 pounds.
Oh, that's scary.
And nobody knew what to say.
Yeah. Like, does that count?
Pat. And I was just like, well done.
Does it?
By the way, nobody else ever do that.
No, don't do that. I do not. That 10 out of 10 would not recommend.
Yeah.
So you were doing programming back squats more. This is before CAP.
Right, yeah. So I used to write all of our programming, all of our lesson plans, all of that. And so we used to...
We didn't have lesson plans back then,
No,
though.
that's true. We didn't have lesson
just
plans.
for the record, nobody had lesson plans back then. It was just kind of like,
Hey, here's the workout. Do it.
The lesson plan was, do you remember what the original CrossFit warm-up was?
Yeah,
Yes.
Greg Amundsen's the 15 overhead
15,
squats,
baby.
GHD pull-ups. Yeah,
Yep.
I used to do that.
That was the lesson plan.
That was
Hey,
a
do
workout,
this.
by the way.
Yeah.
That'd be like 20 minutes in, and you're
It's
like,
still a workout.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we had a Facebook group for our coaches, and I would look at the programming and record a video for each day of just kind of like, here's some things to think about for the coach. I mean, who knows what I said, but it certainly wasn't a lesson plan.
No.
And I want to, we talked about this a little bit in dropping in, but you had note cards
Oh, yeah.
today, and we were saying more coaches should do that.
Yeah. It helps keep me on, like, time points. So I know this is how long warm-up should take. This is how long I can use skill work time. Because sometimes you can go over excessive on skill work, or you have more.
That's me.
No, I thought
My
you
name's
nailed
Brandon.
it. I thought you were perfect.
Flow
on that.
timelines.
But
Dude,
I honestly
so bad.
keeping track.
when we were warming up, we finished the pistols warm up, which was a great progression. Like I actually felt relatively ready. I was like, okay, we're probably going to start soon. And then you went into a handstand push up. I was like, okay, we're probably going to start. Then you went into a pull up, and I was like, oh, you're actually thought
you did a
this through and
progression
like
for
get
all
it.
three movements.
I mean,
and
to
was like,
be
this is
fair,
great.
I mean, CAP, that's one thing that CAP does is it gives you those, like I took a lot of what they did. Now, they didn't have pull-up progressions. I added that in because I knew I had such a gamut of people in this class, you know. Like, I had a beginner that's only been here for 2 weeks, and
Me?
I had you.
Is that me?
And
Oh.
then I had you.
You have a beginner.
The
and then
elite
somebody
athlete.
You have a beginner and then somebody that moves like a beginner.
So I wanted to make sure that everyone was getting the right kind of warm-up.
That was a great warm up.
It was great, and the takeaway, because I was talking to Nate on camera about it, like about using the note cards, and there's a difference between like I've been exposed to the lesson plan and I looked at it and then I walk out onto the floor and then I don't actually execute it versus like just having the wherewithal. Just bring the cards. Chuck Carswell talks about this.
Yeah,
Like he was
or
like, I used to
lectures.
start. He was like, I would just, I'd pull it out, look at the lesson plan. What am I supposed to do next? Put it back in my pocket. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's eventually you may or may not need it, but the point is like use the tool at your disposal. If it helps you run a better class, then keep the note card.
And it never felt like you were like reading it or anything. It felt like
No, it was a
bullet
very
points,
natural
yeah.
transition. You pull it out, you look at it and be like, all right, we're going to do this. And then you would go back to teaching. I'm like, that's a perfect use of that tool.
100%.
That's exactly what you should do in that scenario.
Frees up your brain space to do the other stuff, right? Like now I can coach because I'm not worried about remembering this lesson plan.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've never actually thought about that way. Good job.
Well,
Well, I have
I bring
short-term
the
memory.
education to this podcast. But no, and then we were saying more people need to do it. I think it's like a stigma. Like, oh, I need to like
I
put
gotta
it on the
memorize everything.
whiteboard,
And I'm
put
like,
it on note
yeah.
cards,
No,
whatever works for you.
You'll get to that point eventually, but you want, when you're newer, it helps to have that mental availability to be able to focus on the athletes and not like memorize. At some point, you will know where all your checkpoints are on the time.
Right.
You won't have to worry about that. But that comes with time.
Well,
right?
that's-
Now what I need to know is like, what am I going to do next and when? Cool. Now go do the thing.
Right. And if I have a lesson plan too, like we CAP gives us a lesson plan, and then I go in and I tinker with it to fit what we need, right? And so I do that as a head coach. But then I tell my coaches, I'm like, be a coach. If you see a drill and you're like, that drill sucks, I want to do this one instead. Please do that and tell me if it was better or not, because that's what we should do as coaches.
Well,
Right. Or what you liked about it or what you didn't like about it. It
Right.
might be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And every class is different. So his 5 a.m. class versus my noon class, like 5 a.m., those people have been here for years. They're consistent. My noon class, a lot of them weren't here. I don't know if they were nervous that you guys were here or what, but they're a lot of newbies, like brand new. And so I
couldn't
can't teach the 5 a.m. class. Like you can kind of teach them different, right? So what he's going to teach in his 5 a.m. class, I'm going to teach a lot different at noon.
Fisher talked about that a little bit.
Well, we talked about it. Do you guys listen to the podcast?
Yeah.
You guys?
Well, that's kind of what I was referencing a little bit.
Oh, that
Sorry.
really hurts. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Long-time listener. Actually, not long-time listener.
I did notice you gave him back the 5 a.m. class.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How long did that last?
About
Quite a while, yeah. It was
And then you were like,
year
honey,
and a
this
half.
is yours again?
I don't even remember why we switched it, but I think it was because just scheduling switched for us.
She was like, yeah, my schedule is switched. I want to sleep later. You're taking the 5 a.m.
I don't sleep later, but.
Well, no, okay, so that's what it was, because the kids' school schedule had changed, and she wanted to be there to get, do the mom thing and get them ready for school. And so I was like, well, that's fine. I'll take the early class. It's not a big deal.
The other thing I wanted to chat with you guys about is one of the early things that we worked on when you guys came into the course was just like sales in general. Like you guys had a lot of like the kind of service suite was a little messy, and then like your sales flow was choppy. Mm-hmm. Well, how did you guys view sales prior to, and how do you look at it now?
So if you watch King of the Hill, you'll understand this. I take the Hank Hill approach to sales, which is I'm going to give you the information, and I'm just going to let you make a decision. And eventually, if you feel like it's right, you're going to say yes, and I'm just going to let it be. And that still exists in me a little bit, but now it's like this idea of like, we do what we do very well, and we do it so well that I have an obligation to you. If you show up in my gym or you show up in my queue as like a lead, I have an obligation to contact you and be like, you need to be in my gym. It's no longer like, I'm going to let you make the decision. Now it's like, hey, come in, talk to me, let me hear what you need, and let me tell you how we can address what you need so that you can be here because you need to be.
Yeah, because we had talked about like how you guys did the consults, and like one of the ways we describe it is like control, and control has like a negative connotation sometimes. It's not like physically control, obviously. Right. It's more like your whole purpose in that sales pipeline, like when somebody hits the website, is to guide them to what they reached out for you for. Right. And it's not like, hey, you let us know when you're ready to make this. They don't know. That's why they called
exactly.
you. So like you leave nothing up to chance, and my job is to guide them all the way down. And at no point am I going to forfeit control of like who they talk to and when and how they talk to them and what we talk about. Like all of that is designed in nature because we know what they're looking for. Our job is to make sure that it's seamless for them.
Right.
This happens a lot because you guys were looking at, well, here's how we bring them in. I don't remember.
Our biggest hiccup was that like when you go to the website, it was like click here, click here, click here.
Oh,
click
that's
here,
right. I remember that. I was like, hey, I'm going to share my
my
screen for a second. And I was just like, we're 13 clicks in and I haven't given you my information yet. And you were like, so we should fix that? And I was like, I think it'll help.
And it did. Weird how that works. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's part of that whole sales process, which is like most people overlook the website portion of that. And I'm like, this is like the like, imagine if you were like on Tinder, like you had to swipe 47 times to be like, I'm interested.
You're making a lot of dating references. Jess is home now.
Yeah, but I'm here. So that's the problem. So, but yeah, I think that's the stuff that because you guys had a really good solid offering, but like cleaning up that front end is pivotal.
It's huge
to get them to the point where they're standing in front of you and now you can do your thing, which is like, I like people, I like connecting. And I'm like, well, if you can't get them to walk in, none of that matters.
Right.
If someone's listening, an affiliate owner, they have to look at their website. How easy is it for someone to give you their information? Right. And remember that your website is mostly for non-members.
Mm-hmm. It's like 99%.
Right. Back in the day, it used to be like, we have a blog. You come here for your workouts. Now it's all on SugarWatt or Wattify. Mm-hmm. That's your member portal. This is the window into your business. And if it's not very easy to find how I join this place, or at least how I walk in for the first time, you're losing people because another affiliate has made it easy for them.
More specifically, it's a window into their future. A lot of people would build websites. They're like, this is about us. And I'm like, wrong. That website needs to be designed to be like, here's you down the road.
Hero's journey.
Right. Hero's journey. That's how it should be built. And it should be very easy to reach out and contact you, because all you want as an affiliate owner is the opportunity to have a conversation.
Right.
And most people just get in their way with either how they design the sales process or the booking software or how the forms are built or the like way too many hurdles to actually sit down in front of a coach or come in and walk in. I'm like, all of that should be so easy. It doesn't even make sense to them.
Yep. And it's, you know, like the thing that I think I've learned, especially over the last couple of months since we've cleaned that up, is like with exception, depending on like time of day, when that inquiry hits, like even if they scheduled something, call them or text them immediately.
Yes.
Like contact them, let them know like, hey, you're actually talking to an actual human being here who actually cares about having a conversation with you. Because, you know, like we have automated stuff on the back end of it that has emails and texts and stuff like that. And those are good. That's fine. And that it's actually prompted several really great conversations with former members, with current members. Like those are all good. But eventually you have to be just a person, you know, and they have to know that it's an actual person. And so if you have 1 or 2 clicks to get to an actual person, then they're going to do it. If it's 13 like we were, then that's probably not going to happen.
Well, this is the other question I would pose to people who want this to be all automated on the front end, which is like, if you're so great at what you do, coaches, community, why would you not want that to be the first thing that they interact with?
Yeah.
Like, why would you not want to lead with that versus some automated, you know, response or like, hey, you have to book this a calendar for somebody that I've never spoken to and I don't know what I'm going to be getting into. And all of that stuff is good and fine. I'm not against automation, right? But there's a time and a place for it.
Right.
But we're in the people business. And I don't give a shit what anybody says about it. Like, we're in the people business.
Yes, we are.
We provide life-changing fitness for people all over the globe using the CrossFit methodology. That's not something to scoff at, and we're passionate about it. We've already talked about your passion numerous times in this podcast. You should lead with that, and then just back it up with really clean systems and overwhelming professionalism.
Yeah.
That's the key to success. And I think a lot of people have it backwards.
You always say there's plenty to automate. Your interaction with leads should not be one of them.
No.
Yeah.
So,
It was a huge shift, and it was good.
You've been working primarily with Fern. Has he taken you through a rate increase?
No.
We did a little bit of a restructure, but it didn't result in an increase.
No, it was just we went from like we had tiered membership to, you know, timed agreements, right? So 12 months, 6 month. But our rate was already pretty good. We need to bring some of those older members up to the current rate, which is going to happen here first of the year.
Do you have more confidence going into this?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, it's still scary though.
100%.
Well, it will never not be scary.
Yeah.
I've been doing it 13 years. We did one it happened in September, but I put it out in July. And this is good for everybody to know. Like, you're still going to get the sweats. And then you're like, oh, never mind. I did it the right way. It'll be fine. There was no fallout from it.
And I mean, you whether you're on our group calls or you check our Instagram and see the wins.
Every week there's multiple people and they're like, nothing happened. You're
Nothing
right.
happened.
It's literally like 99% of the time. Like, we had an episode recently, 0 of the affiliates had not even one person. You know, certainly not 22.
And obviously you want it to be organized, but it's the same principle, which is like lead as a person first, right? Like, understand that there's another human being on the other end of that transaction, and I don't think you should treat it as such because they will feel that when they walk into the gym. Like, they will remember it, and it will not be a good memory for them. And that's not how you want that to go down.
And I've also, you know, kind of that point, we've spent the time, even like within the last year and especially within the last several months, like because we're going back through all those basics in the start of the Affiliate U program, right? Like, we're going back through and checking all the boxes and asking the question, why do we do this way? Well, because that's the way we've always done it. That's the key question, and that's the key answer. If because we've always done it this way, it's time to change that. And so our members
come up with an answer. Maybe it doesn't need to change, but like, you still need to understand the why, because I'm going to eventually have to train, you know, Coach A, Coach B, and they're going to be like, well, just do it, right? I'm like, yeah, but why do you do it?
Right. And so, like, just even within those couple of months since we've started Affiliate U, like, we've updated systems, we've cleaned some stuff up, we've improved the gym, like, that stuff happens. And so now, like, members see that stuff happening. So now, like, when we do go through that stuff, they're like, oh yeah, totally worth it, not a problem. Like,
buttoned up all the back end stuff. And by the way, you worked with some other coaches. How many of them showed up to your affiliate, worked out with you guys?
Bought you these coffees.
Well, so they bought those.
We should bring her over.
You want to bring Dre
Yeah,
on?
let's switch her out.
But point being, before you get off, no one other than Fern and I showed up.
That's true.
That's true. That's what we do here.
In our defense, we came here to film some stuff, so
Yeah,
it's
but
kind of
still.
selfish in nature. But,
Yeah.
but we always like to go into affiliates who we work with. Like all of this helps me. Like when we're on phone calls, you're talking about the gym. I'm like, I've been there. I see it, right? Like this helps me be like, hey, I get what you're saying. Like maybe you should move that or whatever. Like I remember the lobby. Here's a couple things we could do.
It's always good to be able to go.
Right. We put eyes on.
Try our best to get to as many as possible.
Well, and two, like when we travel, we drop into boxes so we can steal ideas.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of going to
Like, I love that. I'm stealing that.
There are almost zero original ideas in CrossFit Rife.
Oh, yeah.
Almost zero. There might be like one or two that are mine, but all the other ones are stolen.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Come on over, Dre. Let's talk to
Yeah.
Dre. For you hopping off for a second?
I'm gonna hop off.
So that you
Yeah.
Go ahead. And Dre came in recently.
Yeah, Dre came in. She came on as a coach. About a year ago? Yeah, a little over a
You
year
started
ago.
at CrossFit Roots.
I did start at Roots.
I didn't know that.
10 years ago.
12 years ago.
12
years
yeah.
ago.
She's been doing it longer than me.
What was your first exposure to CrossFit? 12 years ago, 2011-ish?
Yeah, yep. Right before I turned 40.
I can do math. You got it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
acted
I had to
impressed.
think about
I can.
it.
How's
Yeah,
that?
yeah. My first exposure was Roots, and that was when they were in their really small box.
Before the one that they just moved out of.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah,
So,
before
two,
that.
so two gyms ago.
Yeah, you're
Right.
throwing
Okay.
wall balls over windows in that location. It was terrifying.
Dangerous.
Accuracy
Safety
is one of
third.
the 10 general
Like
physical
one of my
skills.
first workouts was Karen, and what the heck, throwing over windows when you're just new at CrossFit.
Yeah.
Oof.
Danger and really sore legs, right? Like,
Yes, yes, and I kept going back for some reason.
So what brought you over here? And then what was the journey to become an investor?
What brought me over here is I was going to Roots, and I was coaching at a gym close by, and my values and their values didn't align. My coaching, what I came from Roots, which is like top notch, did not align with their coaching, and I wasn't basically allowed to coach. You're just basically I was a babysitter. I did small group with our church with Brandon and Marka, and I would come and cry and complain about it all the time, like not joking.
She was the oversharer you were talking about, Brandon?
No, well, because we were in small groups, so that was fair game.
That's fair
gotcha.
game. And then Marka one day just looked at me. She's like, "Can you just come coach for us?" And
We
I was
need
like,
a 5 a.m.
I was like, yes, yes,
we need a 5
I
a.m.
can.
coach. We got a very specific spot we're trying to fill.
And from there, like that was history because they run their ship a lot like Nicole did at Roots, and that's my background. That's what I believe in, and I feel like your athletes are safe. And
Which for the record is the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like organized, high quality coaching. Like that's what you should be striving for.
And I think the biggest turning point for me was I was doing a class at this other gym, and we were doing behind the neck push jerks, and you were left to your own devices to warm up and this and that. And I was like, 65-pound behind the neck, snatch balance or whatever it was, push jerk. I'm like, that's cake, that's light. But it hadn't warmed up because there was no warm up going into it. And I came down and I heard my shoulder and bicep tear. And I was like, I'm out. Like, I mean, that was like the end game for me because as a coach, I should have known not to do that. So I'm not blaming it on anybody but myself. But the fact that we did not do a warm-up, we were not led through a group warm-up, like I was just like, what am I doing? This is against all of my beliefs. And I'm here doing it and coaching it, and I cannot be responsible for somebody's injury if I had not taken the precautions I need to get them through a warm-up.
And so many coaches tell us that and aren't willing to make the move. Right? Like we say often, you're not married to your affiliate. And you keep saying whether it's values, beliefs, they didn't align. Well, why are you staying there?
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't.
Right.
And then you found a place that did align. And now.
And now here I am.
And now she's in. She's our biggest fan.
And when we...
And our biggest supporter. And like for Marka and I both, it was a breath of fresh air. It was like a re-energizing because, you know, when you're doing this for so long and it was the two of us basically, like it's easy to get bogged down and tired, and, you know, you have owner's eyes. Like you don't see the dust in the corner. Well, somebody new comes in and they're like, hey.
You have mom goggles.
Yeah.
You're like, my kid's so handsome. They're like, his head is huge. You should show out with that, right? Like, I look back at some of the pictures of my kids. I'm like, oh, no.
Chappie has a mullet.
Yeah. We're not getting rid of that, though. But, yeah, it's easy. Like, you don't notice things. Like, the same thing happened at CrossFit Rifle. Like, when Cassidy first came in, when he left the Navy and he came in, I mean, he was just like, we got to clean these bathrooms. And I'm like, you've been here for like 7 years, dude. Now you want to clean the bathrooms? Like, slow down, dude. But it was good to have like an outside set of eyes to come and be like, hey, like, we should consider that.
Right.
And it hurts your feelings at first. You're like, nope, you're actually right. I just have not looked up at that portion of the wall for a while.
Yeah. And that's a good point. Like, you guys, as the owners, have to be open. Too many owners want to surround themselves, whether it's with yes people or just get valuable feedback, and they're blinded or think they know better. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's a two-way street. Like,
absolutely.
You had Dre come in breathing this breath of fresh air, but you had to allow it to happen at the same time.
Well, and it's for me, it's like one of our core values. So the company that owns CrossFit ELM is ELM Inc. Elephants love
monkeys.
Lion, Elephant,
so
lions, and monkeys. Oh
for
my.
that company, we have 10 company values, and one of the company values is make it better, and it's an obsession for me. Like, can it be made better? And so when we have somebody like Dre who's going to step in and say, hey, would you be up to trying this? I'm like, yes, let's try that, and let's see if it makes it better. And if it doesn't, okay, we tried something new, and now we know.
And you'll learn something else, maybe.
I tell you what, there's like a seldom either recognized or understood little nuance to the getting feedback portion, right? Because a lot of people are like, well, I just need feedback, but then it just turns into a pain point, and it's just like a friction, or like it just feels like people are just annoying you. And what can make it significantly easier is letting the team in on how you make decisions for things. So, for instance, like equipment upgrades. If you're like, hey, guys, we're doing this, and then we're like, hey, we need to replace that, and all of a sudden everybody just comes in every single day, and all you hear is like, I need to spend more money. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right? That's all you hear as a gym owner. You're like, I need to spend more money. And to which you want to respond like, I'm aware.
Yeah,
right. Like, thanks, but no thanks, right? But if you let them in on the process, and this is something I started maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, like letting them be like, hey, here's how we budget. Here's the priority list. So when you do that, put it in there. And if you think we need to move it on the priority list, or we need to make that a priority, or we want to do that some other way, then let's chat about it. But it helps them help you. Mm-hmm. So they're not just throwing you good ideas. They will know how it works, and they'll be like, I'm not even going to bring that to him because I already know how all of this works, and that will be next year sometime. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now we don't even have to have the conversation. Or there's going to be like, hey, I think we needed to do this one sooner. Like, this is kind of becoming a real problem. And I'm like, that's actually valuable feedback to me now.
Yeah.
Right? Just like, it's not just we need to spend money. It's like, hey, we need to reorder this or reorganize this and reprioritize this because of this reasoning. I'm like, that's valuable because I was not aware of that. Mm-hmm. So I think when you're going to get feedback, I think it's okay, and I think it's almost mandatory that you let them, like, here's how I make decisions about this topic.
Yeah.
And now they're armed with that, so they can be more useful, or they can even come with you to you now with the end solution. And they're like, here's what we need to do. And I'm like, okay, I don't even have to worry about that now. I'm like, perfect. This is great.
And this is something Marka and Dre have taught me, is like, everything I do in the gym lives in my head. Well, they don't live in my head. So they don't want to.
Scary place in there, everybody.
They have done a really good job of being like, hey, get this out of your head.
Right.
Pull this out, put it in a document. Let's have a conversation. Let's put these systems in place so we can all see this and know, like, this is how we're going to make these decisions. This is how we're going to do this process. And then on top of that, if what comes out of my head is not good, now they've got license to say, hey, we need to do this better.
Yeah, which is the core value, which is like, well, let's put this out here and let's chop this up and let's all be very objective about this. Be like, hey, okay, I see where you're going with there, but like, I don't think that's how we should do it. We can still get to that end state, but we could just take a different route, which might be better for the client or for the business or for whatever it might be. So you can keep that core idea, but just the path with which they get there is a little bit more beneficial.
Right.
And we also know that we can give Brandon an idea and let him sit with it for a day or two, because he's going to have all this stuff going on in that brain, and then go back to him and be like, okay, like, reorganizing the gym. Part of why we came on to Affiliate U was we were looking at another space. I think we had a chat with you on the phone.
I remember that.
And this is when I was going to come in and be an investor so we could go to a bigger space. And we talked to you, and you're like, don't do that. Your space is fine for the amount of members you have.
The number of people that we've talked out of moving spaces is like a billion.
So
which is one of the best things you probably have done.
And
like, to be
That
honest.
was, for the record, that was me.
It was.
That was.
And
fair.
He
so
asked me
fair.
what he should do, and I told him.
So that's where we invested that money, right? Is into Affiliate U. And then we took a look at the space and we're like, oh, how can we open up the space? All this stuff, you guys, was way up here just about a month ago. So we created this much space and added so much more room to the gym so you don't feel so closed in.
And didn't spend thousands of dollars.
We spent money
more
on
than that.
some more mats
Yeah.
and some hangers for the wall. Like, we did not spend any money to open up our space and make it more livable and workable.
Yeah.
And by the way, this class, Marca's class, great music.
Oh,
Great music. Marca, I noticed there's a little Green Day in there today. There's a lot of 90s alternative.
We started with David Bublé,
What
or
did-
Michael Bublé.
we did
but
have
yeah,
a
we
little
started with
Bublé.
Michael Bublé.
But
which
hey,
was
that was
fine
the
with us.
warm-up. That was great.
That was
what were you
It
going to
was a
say,
good
Marca,
little
over there?
mood.
that's she doesn't. Marca
I do
listens
think
to.
you have, what do you have, a disc changer over? Is that a 5-disc
No,
changer?
it's on the phone.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought
it's
it was
all
like
Bluetooth, but
we
it's-
pride ourselves.
She's a country
Yeah.
freak.
Well, I'm glad we didn't get that.
I have to step in and be
the
like, no,
90s
babe.
alternative, you can never go.
Like old Billy Ray Cyrus there to get the thing.
No, I can't think of some of the others, but there's some great songs in there.
And we do pride ourselves also on not having foul language and all of that.
Well, Fern
within-
ruined that for you because there were some
Hey,
words
listen.
that we shouldn't.
Well, he
A
can't.
well-timed
you were
F-bomb.
telling us you have a necklace
A necklace
that has the F word
that
on it.
says the F word. I do wear that when I do.
knew
She's
we
talking
were-
about in the music.
I
though. She's
knew
talking
we
about
were
the music.
friends, and now you just verified
Yeah,
it.
I think that is important. You have 3 kids hanging out here.
Oh,
Yeah.
when
You
I wear
never
that,
know.
the kids are like, "Praise Nicholas."
That's so great.
Well, and Fern, on seminar staff, our boss, Nicole Carroll, we'll always say, you just never know who you're going to offend. So if you're going to, is it worth playing a song that could potentially offend someone, or find the clean version of? We can still find Biggie and Tupac without the
Clean,
F-bombs.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's hilarious is just a couple of weeks ago, we had a guy come and do a drop-in because he was looking for a new gym because the music was foul at his gym.
I'm like, is that a sword? Is that a sword you guys want
Right,
to die
that's the
on as
thing,
affiliate owners? I'm like, really? Like,
some
you're like, no,
boxers-
we definitely need profanity inside of the box. I'm like, it's just not necessary.
You need
There's
that more
a-
than you need $150 a month.
There's,
Yeah,
there is a
exactly.
time and a place for that, right? Professionally, there's a time and a place for it where it can have a positive impact. I don't think you should be cavalier about it, right?
Yeah.
It's
But
one of those things. You have far more to gain.
right.
Well, and it's what I tell my coaches is read your
lose.
crowd, read your class.
As I said it, I was like,
You said multiple things
let's just
incorrectly.
But it's like read your class. Like if your class is all people in their 50s, 90s
Tone it down.
punk is probably not.
Hey, I'm almost
gear?
50
Is there
and 90.
something wrong
I
with
think
it?
your
Yeah, I was gonna
No.
say,
I think
yeah.
your
I'm
math
just
is
saying.
off. I think
No.
that's actually exactly what you should be playing.
But some of that 80s, like some good 80s metal.
We got some Boston going on.
That's probably more appropriate for that crowd. But if you have a crowd that's all in
Wait,
their
are you
20s,
lumping me in? I think I should be offended.
No, you don't get
'Cause you-
offended because it's all good
Because
music.
I want to hear the 80s metal, but I'm. So you're assuming I'm in my 50s now? Is
Yes,
what's
you
going
are.
on,
But aren't
Brandon?
you in your 50s?
Well, you look
Ex-
really old. I'm be honest with you.
Let Dre and I will hang out.
Crow's
That's
feet.
right.
Dre and I,
Yes.
we got this.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. You got to know your
I
audience. That's
did-
what you were saying about the
I did keep
5 a.m.
up with Fern, who
I
is
wanna say you-
exactly
I
10
wanna
years
say you
younger
beat
than
Fern.
me today.
You-
Just saying.
You beat Fern. And you also did strip down quite a bit. I mean, if we're being honest,
I mean-
you don't curse, but it was some brief nudity.
I mean,
Mild nudity. is
hot
what
flashes are a real thing.
Yeah. Hey, she has a 6-pack. It was fine. I'll let you.
You know what? You got to know your audience.
Smoke them if you got it.
Yeah, that's right.
Listen,
you know your audience.
The members, all of our members have a saying, I want abs like Dre.
I get it. I too want abs like Dre.
So we did start, like, I used to coach on Fridays, so we do abs on Fridays. I just call it Ab Day with Dre. And now we came up with a new slogan because I coach Thursday mornings, and so we call it Six Pack Thursday. So everybody who comes in knows that it's Six Pack Thursday.
Is she head of branding here?
Yeah, she
No,
should be.
it was one of our members who came up with that.
Fern, I got an idea for Rife. 2-Pack Tuesday.
That's a good place to start.
It's the scaled version.
That's a scaled version.
Beginners. Yeah.
But we've had a great time here.
This is
today.
awesome.
Yeah,
here's what I actually feel bad about. I want these people to have louder music, and now I feel bad because we're here recording this podcast. So we're gonna wrap this bad boy up.
We will wrap it up, and we're close by, so I will swing back again.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you guys for having us. This has been fun.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for letting us jump in the class. You guys are fantastic people. If you guys are in the area, come check it out. I do not think you will regret it.
We love drop-ins, man. It's awesome.
And yeah.
Coolies. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome. Bam,
Cool.
bam, bam.
We'll see you guys next time.
Yes.